Hey, what's up? John Sonmez from simpleprogrammer.com. So I thought I'd do a book review today as I finished a couple of books. I haven't done reviews, so I need to catch up a little bit here. The book that I'm going to tell you about today is a book that was recommended to me by a buddy of mine, Brandon Carter. You can check out the interview I did with him here. And also, if you want to see all the book reviews I've done so far, make sure you get on this playlist, and it's updated as I do more book reviews. I do, like, 2 to 3 books a week, usually, depending on how long they are. And if a lot of people ask, like, how do you read so many damn books, John? Well, I listen to them on Audible, on audiobooks, usually at 2 to 3x. I also read as well, but mostly I'm getting through these when I'm doing 10-mile runs, 4 times a week. So that's how I get so many books in. That's it. So anyway, I recommend you do something like that. It's a really good idea to get some kind of system in that's making sure that you're always being educated. And I also specifically pick the kind of books that I can absorb while running. Obviously, I'm not reading technical books where I have to sit down and look at diagrams and stuff like that. So anyway, let's talk about the book today. The book is Triggers: Creating Behavior That Lasts, Becoming the Person You Want to Be. And this book is by Marshall Goldsmith. I found this book to be very interesting. Not a lot, this is one of those books where there's a lot of cognitive kind of psychology in it and social psychology, but it actually made sense, and it wasn't one of those ones where they try to draw these ridiculous conclusions about something. Now, there's the Willpower Myth, I think, is in there. If you've listened to me for a while, you know how I feel about that. We have unlimited willpower, and there's been some sites that actually show that what I assumed was right. So but whatever. Let's not debate the minuscule things. That kind of stuff doesn't matter. The book itself was really good because what it is it's essentially, it reminds me of a book. Well, like the concept, Charles Duhigg's Habit, or I think it's called Habits. Power of Habit, that's what it's called, which was a pretty good book as well. But this book, it goes a little bit deeper into the kind of the psychology of what causes you to do things and what makes them stick, what makes your habits and how you live, right? How to make lasting change in your life. I think that's one of the key things, is because a lot of people, they get stuck in these cycles, right? And they can't figure out how to make changes that are permanent changes, right? And so I agreed. I found myself shaking my head up and down with this book because I have made I've been a person who has been successful in making lasting changes in their life, right? I've transformed in multiple ways. I'm always transforming and changing. And I look back, no offense, but some people that I know, 10 years later, they're the same exact person. They're in the same job. They got the same skills. They get the same attitude. They're not growing in any way that I can see. And that's sad. I don't want to ever be that kind of person. I want to grow. I want to change. I want to shed bad habits. I want to increase my good habits. I want to grow, right? And hopefully if you're watching this channel, that's what you want to do too. So I think this is a really good book if you have that mindset, because it gives you some really practical advice on how to do that. There's some good stories in here. So he talks about, he starts off by talking about behavior change. One of the really good things in here is he talks about environment, how environment affects you so much, and like you need to control and choose your environment. And this is such a true thing, right? If you've ever tried to lose weight or try to do something and you have failed, a lot of times it's because of the environment that you're in, right? If you've ever tried to quit smoking, but you're living with people who smoke, or you're hanging out with friends who smoke, man, it's really, really hard. It's not going to happen, right? It's like, same thing if your cabinets are filled with junk food, right? You change the environment, and that can really change the triggering of that behavior. And essentially, the book is about how your behaviors are triggered, what causes you to do that. And he goes into how triggers work, and how you can plan out your life and plan out your environment so that you can avoid certain triggers, or you can make these changes. He goes through the active questions. So this idea of asking a lot of questions, this reminds me of Tony Robbins a lot, is asking these kind of questions that lead you to, am I trying the best? Am I doing the best that I can right now? As opposed to asking questions that maybe are along the lines of, am I the best, right? It's, if you put the onus on you, if you're like, am I giving my all here? Am I, right? And you ask questions like that, those are a lot more valuable. So he goes through that. he talks about the planner and doer and the coach, and the kind of these three roles. I've done some videos where I've talked about sort of the planner and the doer, and I've called it like the manager hat or the CEO hat versus putting on the worker bee hat. And he adds one more, which is the coach, which is someone who's like looking at the results and saying, okay, how can you do better, and giving you that kind of guidance. He's got a lot of really good tricks in here, kind of psychological tricks. He talks about not getting better without structure, which I think is critical, right? You got to have structure in place. This is such an important thing I found in my life, is that I've got to have structure. I got to figure out a plan and structure. I'm probably going to do a video in a little bit here talking about how you need rules, and this is kind of the same thing. It's like you need a structured environment in order to succeed at whatever you're doing. You can't just go on judgment, right? Judgment is a poor way to try and succeed in life. So anyway, that's all I got to say, I think, about this book. I think it's a good read. I think it's a beneficial book, especially if you're trying to create lasting change, especially if you've had points in your life where you try to change something and you couldn't change it. Then you need to figure out why, right? And you need to have the right psychology and mindset and understand these factors that actually trigger you to certain types of behaviors. So again, check out the book. It's called Triggers. I highly recommend it. And if you like these videos, if you want to get more book reviews and all the other kind of videos I do, make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. If you did already, a thumbs up is always appreciated, or share this with anyone that you'd like to. And I'll talk to you next time. Take care.